Where is Caitlin Clark? Where's the moneymaker? Where's the needle mover? Where's the name that everybody knows? Where's the name that draws the most viewership? Where's the name that draws the most attention?
Got a print up here. I'm gonna be real with y'all, Team USA. Caitlin Clark need to be on the phone. Hold on. I don't want to go there. But KCV's gonna go there. Why ain't Caitlin Clark on the damn picture? Stop playing games.
Ladies and gentlemen, we need to stop pretending that what is happening to Caitlin Clark is just a series of unfortunate coincidences. We need to stop pretending that the people running women's basketball are just incompetent marketers who don't know how to sell a superstar. What we are witnessing, right now, in real time, is a coordinated, deliberate, and malicious campaign to psychologically break the greatest player of her generation. We have just received the official roster and coaching staff announcement for the 2026 USA Basketball World Cup qualifying team. And while the headlines will tell you that Caitlin Clark is on the team, the fine print tells a much darker story. This is not a celebration of Caitlin Clark. It is a trap. It is a setup designed to humble her, to hide her, and to force her back under the thumb of the very people she has been trying to escape. We have two smoking guns today. First, the promotional graphic that inexplicably erases her face from the marketing of her own team. And second, the hiring of Stephanie White, the coach who arguably sabotaged her WNBA season as an assistant coach for Team USA. This feels less like a basketball roster and more like a horror movie where the protagonist tries to run away, only to find the villain waiting for her inside the house.
Why is Kara Lawson a coach? Duke stinks. Her offense is absolute garbage in college. Duke started out as a top 10 team. Bro, they stink, bro. Don't nobody want to watch them play. How's Kara? It's a few things I got problems with. I don't know how Kara Lawson's the coach. I don't know how Stephanie White is over there. Like this whole thing is looking wacky already.
Let's start with the visual evidence, because in the year 2026, marketing is everything. USA Basketball released the official graphic to hype up these games in Puerto Rico. You have 12 roster spots. You have the most famous female athlete on the planet, a woman who sells out NBA arenas, a woman who has single-handedly increased the valuation of the entire sport by billions of dollars. And where is she on the poster? She is gone, erased, invisible. Instead, you see Aaliyah Boston, you see Chelsea Gray, you see Rhyne Howard. Now, no disrespect to those players, they are world-class talents. But let's be real, Rhyne Howard is not selling pay-per-view subscriptions. Chelsea Gray is not driving engagement on Twitter. Caitlin Clark is the engine. Caitlin Clark is the sun that the rest of the solar system revolves around. So why would USA Basketball choose to hide the sun? It is marketing malpractice so severe that it can only be intentional. It is a message. It is the old guard telling the world, we don't need her. This is not the Caitlin Clark show, this is USA Basketball, and she is just lucky to be here. It is a passive-aggressive slap in the face designed to dim her light so that the veterans, the friends of Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi, don't feel insecure about their fading relevance.
Team USA cover, and she better be starting. I don't want to hear no Kelsey Plum is starting over her. I don't want to hear no Chelsea Gray is starting over her. Y'all better.
But if the graphic is an insult, the coaching staff is a nightmare. This is the part that should make every Caitlin Clark fan sick to their stomach. The host of the source video put it perfectly. It's like she's stalking her. Stephanie White, the head coach of the Indiana Fever, the woman who many believe held Caitlin back during her WNBA season, has been named an assistant coach for this USA team. Think about the psychological toll of that. Caitlin goes to Team USA to get a break. She goes there to play with better talent, to play in a free-flowing system, to get away from the stress of the Fever organization. And who walks through the door? Stephanie White. It is a single white female scenario. It feels like surveillance. It feels like the establishment does not trust Caitlin Clark to be unsupervised, so they are sending her WNBA handler to Puerto Rico to keep her on a leash. Why is Stephanie White there? She has never been a part of the USA Basketball coaching pipeline like this before. Suddenly, now that Caitlin is the star, Stephanie White is essential? It reeks of politics. It suggests that the old guard wants to ensure that Caitlin doesn't get too big for her britches. If Caitlin goes to Team USA and averages 30 points and 15 assists playing a different style of basketball, it makes Stephanie White look bad. It exposes the fact that the Fever's system was the problem. So by putting Stephanie White on the bench in Puerto Rico, they ensure that the system remains the same. They ensure that Caitlin is used the same way. They protect the narrative. They can say, see, she plays the same way for Team USA as she does for Indiana. It's not the coaching, it's the player. It is a defensive move by the coaching fraternity to protect one of their own from being exposed by a generational talent.
From this lady. What the fuck is going on? We cannot get away from this lady, man. Good God. I'm so sick of it. Stephanie White, the Indiana Fever, man. How is she now? All of a sudden,
And let's talk about the roster hierarchy, because the host brings up a terrifying point about the starting lineup. Just because Caitlin is on the team doesn't mean she is going to play the minutes she deserves. The roster is stacked with old guard favorites. You have Chelsea Gray, the point god, you have Kelsey Plum, you have Jackie Young. These are the players who won gold in 2024, while Caitlin sat at home. Do you honestly think head coach Cheryl Reeve or whoever is pulling the strings is going to bench Chelsea Gray for Caitlin Clark? History tells us no. History tells us that USA Basketball values seniority over skill. They value waiting your turn over production. We are staring down the barrel of a scenario where the best player in the world is coming off the bench to play 15 minutes a game in a blowout against a lesser team, while Chelsea Gray runs the show. And if Caitlin complains, if the fans complain, they will be called toxic. They will be called disrespectful to the legends. It is a trap. The whole tournament is a trap designed to force Caitlin to kiss the ring.
Today, Team USA made a massive mistake in 2024, failing to capitalize on the freight train that was Caitlin Clark.
This goes back to the Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi shadow. The host calls Sue Bird an opposition agent. And frankly, the evidence supports it. Sue Bird is the most influential voice in women's basketball. She is the shadow commissioner. If Sue Bird wanted Caitlin Clark on that poster, Caitlin Clark would be on that poster. If Sue Bird wanted the offense to run through Caitlin, it would run through Caitlin. The silence from the legends is deafening. They are watching this sabotage happen in real time and saying nothing. Why? Because Caitlin Clark threatens their legacy. If she takes over Team USA and leads them to dominance in a way they never did, with viewership numbers they never achieved, it diminishes the Bird and Taurasi era. It makes them look like the preamble to the main event. And their egos, which have been coddled for 20 years by the friendly media, simply cannot handle that. So they enable the sabotage. They enable the hazing. They allow Stephanie White to follow her around like a shadow. And let's look at the unrivaled connection again. Breanna Stewart, Napheesa Collier, Sue Bird, they are all tied to this new 3-on-3 league. They have a financial interest in being the faces of women's basketball. If Caitlin Clark goes to the World Cup qualifiers and becomes the undisputed face of the sport, it hurts the brand equity of the unrivaled founders. It is a conflict of interest that no one in the mainstream media wants to talk about. USA Basketball is being used as a pawn in a business war. They are suppressing Caitlin's value to prop up the value of the veterans who have equity in a rival league. It is corrupt, it is messy, and it is unfair to the player who just wants to hoop. The host mentions that he is about to lose it over Stephanie White, and he speaks for millions of fans. Imagine the frustration. You watch the Indiana Fever season, you see the bad play calls, you see the lack of adjustments, and you think, okay, at least she has the offseason. At least she has Team USA. And then the news drops. It's like a recurring nightmare. You cannot escape the incompetence. And you have to wonder, is Stephanie White there to sabotage her? Or is she there to ride her coattails? Is she there because she knows Caitlin is the ticket to a gold medal on her coaching resume? It's parasitic. It feels like the old guard is attaching themselves to Caitlin like barnacles on a ship, dragging her down while simultaneously feeding off her momentum. And what about the casual fans? The video highlights this perfectly. If you are a casual fan scrolling through Instagram and you see that graphic with Aaliyah Boston and Ryan Howard, you keep scrolling. You don't know who they are, but if you see Caitlin Clark, you stop, you click, you buy a ticket. By leaving her off, USA Basketball is actively choosing to make less money. They are choosing to have lower ratings. Why? Because a smaller, quieter audience is easier to control. A massive, global audience that loves Caitlin Clark is dangerous to the establishment. That audience asks questions. That audience demands better coaching. That audience demands that Chelsea Gray sit on the bench. The old guard doesn't want that smoke, so they try to keep the audience small by hiding the star. It is the definition of cutting off your nose to spite your face. We also need to talk about the locker room dynamic. Imagine Caitlin walking into that locker room in Puerto Rico. She is surrounded by the players who snubbed her in 2024. She is surrounded by the coach, Stephanie White, who frustrated her all season. She is surrounded by veterans like Chelsea Gray, who view her as a threat. It is a hostile work environment. They are going to freeze her out. They are going to look off her passes. They are going to refuse to run the floor for her outlet passes. We saw it in the WNBA All-Star Game, and we are going to see it again here. USA Basketball isn't building a team. They are building a pressure cooker. They are waiting for Caitlin to snap so they can label her a diva and kick her off the team before the actual World Cup.
Basketball also reveals that Breanna Stewart will join the basketball women's national team in Miami for training camp March 7th through 8th. So she wasn't announced on the roster, but she will be joining them for a training camp March 7th through the 8th. Now, not on the starting lineup. When you realize her own coach isn't even advocating her to be on the starting lineup. Newsflash. You think, let's take a look. Hey, Stephanie, who do you think we should go with to start? Caitlin Clark, the player on your team, the generational talent, or Chelsea Gray? You look at me with a straight face and tell me Stephanie White's going to pick Caitlin Clark. And I'll look back at you and tell you you're lying. She's going to say, oh, Chelsea Gray, oh, old guard, oh, Chelsea.
This is why the fans are furious. We were promised a new era. We were promised that the torch would be passed. But the old guard is gripping that torch so tight, their knuckles are white. They refuse to let go. They refuse to admit that the game has evolved. Caitlin Clark represents a style of play. Deep threes, high pace, massive usage that makes the old style look archaic. And instead of adapting, the coaches and the veterans are trying to suppress it. They want to force Caitlin to play their way. Pass the ball, wait your turn, dump it into the post. It is like buying a Ferrari and driving it in a school zone. It is a waste of greatness. So as we look toward March, do not let them gaslight you. When Stephanie White subs Caitlin out in the fourth quarter for defensive reasons, know that it is part of the plan. When the camera pans to Sue Bird in the stands nodding approvingly as Chelsea Gray dribbles the air out of the ball, know that it is part of the plan. When the marketing emails come out with everyone's face except Caitlin's, know that it is part of the plan. This is a concerted effort to erase the individual brilliance of Caitlin Clark and subsume her into the collective mediocrity of the system. They want her to be just another brick in the wall. But Caitlin Clark was born to be the wrecking ball. The battle lines are drawn. On one side, you have the fans, the numbers, the future, and Caitlin Clark. On the other side, you have the coaches, the veterans, the marketing department, Sue Bird, and Stephanie White. It is a lopsided fight, but Caitlin has defied the odds before. The question is, how much more disrespect can she take before she walks away? How much more sabotage will she endure before she decides that USA Basketball isn't worth the headache? Maybe that's what they want. Maybe they want her to quit so they can say, see, she didn't have what it takes. But if I know Caitlin Clark, she won't quit. She will destroy them. She will force them to play her by being so undeniably good that even Stephanie White can't bench her. But make no mistake, she is playing against her own bench just as much as she is playing against the teams from Puerto Rico. The ultimate snub isn't leaving her off the team, it's inviting her to the team just to break her spirit. And that is a sin that basketball history will never forgive.